I'm ready to go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another all-star episode of Phil and the Mic. I, as always, am Darrin Michael, and with me, the incredibly handsome man who actually just returned from a week-long celebration with Steve Cohn celebrating Bobby Bonilla Day, Mr. Phil Calise.
What's going on? It's nice to bring the band back together. It's been a while. We were really, you were poking fun at me because it's mostly been my fault why we haven't done a podcast in probably, are we at 3 weeks? I'm
Wait, what? I'm
spitballing
sorry.
here.
I'm sorry. What are you saying when you say mostly? I don't remember ever
Uh,
saying it was mostly
that's
your fault. I think I was saying that it was, and let me just quote myself, entirely your fault.
unequivocally my fault. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I plead guilty, Your Honor. That's true. It is. It's my fault. Um, Baseball season and a new role, new responsibilities at my job is drowning me a little bit, but I'm happy to be back here. And we may have stumbled onto something because while I know you don't like this Saturday morning format's got me feeling nostalgic and feeling like energetic. And we were joking about it the other day about the Good Morning or what's the baseball show we used to watch as kids. What was
Oh,
the show Saturday morning?
this week in
Um,
baseball. This week in baseball.
this week in baseball with the nice
Yeah,
Mel
yeah.
Allen voice, nice soothing. It's time for baseball. You got me in that mode right now on a
I
Saturday morning,
know.
so
I know
I'm
that
feeling good.
that was my fault. But you look good, my man. I like the fact that you seem to be growing the beard back, which looks nice. Although it looks like there's a lot more gray coming in now. Is that what I'm seeing
Yeah.
there?
So from this part of my face, I'm 60. This part of my face, I'm in my late 30s, but right here, I'm pushing 60. It's interesting. I used to be able to grow. I do grow a full beard, a nice beard in terms of like growing it in properly. But I
Yeah.
do feel like I'm decaying as a human being, and the erosion process towards death is occurring because my beard does not grow as fast as it used to, and I can only chalk that up to your body's like, well, you're going the other way now, buddy. So, so is the
You know,
beard.
it's funny that you say that because I was actually, I've been growing out. No offense, and I don't want you to feel bad, but I've been growing out the hair on top of my head, right? And it comes down almost to my mouth. And I was kind of like looking at it the other day, and I'm like, this is just not growing very fast. And I didn't get it. My hair always grows really fast, just like your beard grows really fast. So it's odd that we were both kind of experiencing the same thing that we notice. I mean, granted, you're in your late 30s, I'm in my late 40s, but that's okay. That's okay, you know.
That's
But it's interesting. I really don't have a problem with this whole Saturday morning thing, except I got home from work yesterday and I was just exhausted. So I just lay down literally on the floor with a pillow downstairs and I was watching TV.
that's true exhaustion.
Next thing you know, man, I'm like, my wife is home, she's talking to me, and I'm like, okay, did you say something? I don't know. So and it's been this thing with me whenever I nap during the day, I can't sleep at night. So literally that's all
Mhm.
I did was toss and turn all night long. And I
Ugh.
was I was finally starting to drift off to sleep, and I'm so excited. I'm like, yes, finally I get to get some sleep. And I hear this noise and I'm like, what the hell is that? It was 2:55, right? So I get out of bed, I notice that the hall light is on and I'm like, what the heck is going
Mm.
on? Who forgot to turn off the hall light? But I hear giggling coming from Aubrey's room, who's next to our room. I go in
At
there
what time? 3 o'clock in the morning?
almost 3 o'clock in the morning, right? The two of them are in there doing something on their computer, giggling. And I'm like, girls, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay. And I didn't even ask why. I didn't ask what they were doing. I'm just like, Brooke, get the hell out of here. Go to your room. Aubrey, go to bed now. And then I went back into my room. And actually I fell asleep quite quickly. So maybe it worked out really well. But I'm like, what the hell are you guys up at 3 o'clock for? Nothing, nothing good happens at 3 a.m. And granted, they're in the house,
when
but still.
when you reach a certain age, you only see 3 o'clock in the morning on your pee pee break.
Um, I did proceed to go to the bathroom. That's why I got up. I was so exhausted. I'm like, you know what? I got to go to the bathroom anyway, so I might as well just get up and yell at him. And I did. But man,
Nice
you know
job.
what? It's been so long, and I've had some interesting things. I mean, I've had a whole bunch of interesting things to talk about. I mean, I can tell you that I saw the Catman again, which was exciting.
That is exciting.
I think I told you that I met Charles Barkley, which
You shared a picture with me, but you didn't tell me the story. We were waiting for the podcast.
it was like surreal, like he's just one of those guys to me, like he's just bigger than life. I mean, he's one of the all-time greats. He played on the dream team. He's still in the news for all the things that he says. He's like my hero. He just doesn't care.
Terrible. Terrible.
Terrible. So
LeBron James' hairline is terrible.
yes. So the cool thing was, I mean, I was there for about an hour, and it was a bottle signing for a vodka that he owns, vodka, and I think it's a gin, vodka and a gin. And I don't even know if it was actually I did take a shot of it while I was there, but it was so cool because I mean there were a fair amount of people, but he was talking to everybody. He was talking to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
The guy in front of me, he bought a couple bottles, and Charles signed them, and he had like 8 like big like posters and hats and balls, and he just proceeded to sign every single one of them. And so
that's cool.
so I walked up to him, and like the woman that was working there, she takes your phone and she takes video. I don't know. I don't think she took video. She took all kinds of pictures of my interaction with him. I mean, she must have taken like 30 or 40 pictures, which is really cool. But I'm in line and I'm trying to think of what I want to say to him. And so I thought back and I'm like, okay, let's think about those Sixers years, because I actually saw him play, because in '84 when he was a rookie, I actually lived outside of Philadelphia and I went to some Sixers games. And so I did see him play his rookie year, which I thought was fascinating. So the interesting thing was that I noticed that on that team, there was actually 5 future Hall of Famers on that team.
Wow, was there?
Yeah, go ahead. I want to see if you can name any of them.
This was not supposed to be part of your story.
I think it was either 83 or 84. I think it was 84, but I'm not sure. Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one.
Wait. Moses Malone, right?
Moses Malone is one. Yes, that's one.
All right, that's the only one I felt confident about. Yeah, because now I'm going to name some people that I just think he played with then, but I don't think they're necessarily Hall of Famers. But I can't think of the roster.
Go for it.
84 Sixers, like Mo Cheeks.
Mo Cheeks is a Hall of Famer, surprisingly enough. Yes. So
that's what I mean. He doesn't feel like a Hall of Famer to me.
No, not at all. Not at all. Another guy that just got in last year.
Yeah. I don't know. For our audience sake, let's just fire away. I'm not sure.
All right. Bobby Jones.
Okay.
For out of UNC, and I can't believe the one that you missed. The doctor
I missed
himself.
A good one?
You missed the doctor.
Oh, duh. I stopped thinking. I was trying to not drag it out. Yep.
Julius
That's the one I should.
Erving.
I did good to get Moses and Mo Cheeks.
And you got.
And then forgot the most obvious guy.
Yeah, and I gave you Charles Barkley. So anyway, so I said to him, I'm like, I don't get it. You guys had your starting lineup was Hall of Famers. Why couldn't you guys go on not only to the championship, but to win it? And he's like, he doesn't hold back. He's like, man, those guys were so old. Those guys couldn't play ball anymore. And he goes, not only that, I hadn't become Charles Barkley yet. I was like,
that makes sense.
I was like, you are awesome. So, he asks everybody their name. He shakes their hand. He looks at him. He talks to them. I had 3 cards with me. He signed all 3, which was awesome. And I bought 2 bottles, which he signed. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with a signed bottle of alcohol, but that was awesome. That was really, really a really cool experience. Yeah. So I figured you get a kick out of that.
If you could have brought the cat and had him sign the cat, now that would have been the ultimate. What's this cat doing here? This cat's terrible.
Why is this cat
Terrible.
on a leash? I don't understand this. Is that LeBron's cat? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. So
That's funny.
I mean, anything interesting with you besides now you
Um,
got the new job you're adjusting to, you got baseball. Besides that, you don't really have a life, do you?
Not particularly. I think of a sort of funny story. I had so my I have one living grandparent still, and it's one of my grandfathers, my mom's dad,
It's awesome.
and he is moving out of a townhouse. We all live in the same town pretty much. So he's moving out of a townhouse because he lives with his one of his granddaughters who's getting married.
Okay.
Right. And so now she's gonna get married and they're gonna fix up the place. And so he's moving out. And he's moving like across town to like actually a brand new complex, but like an apartment. It's all on one floor. It's like perfect for him at his age and everything. And he's like the original hoarder of things.
Oh, geez.
So they have like an attic upstairs, but it's like a finished loft basically. That it's a loft, not an attic. It's a finished loft, and he
Yeah.
has so much stuff crammed into like each of the storage units and the crawl spaces. Like it's overwhelming, right? So we're like, this is finally the chance. We know this. He's lived there for a long time. We know he has all this stuff. He has a coin collection, which is pretty cool. He's got some cool stuff, and then he's just got like absurd stuff, right? Just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And so we're like, my cousin and really all of us that are helping move him are like, this is the chance we get to finally get rid of this stuff. Like he's not going to take it. We're not bringing this to the new apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we move all his big stuff out, and he's like, we used to dub him back in the day the mayor, because no matter what was going on, he was involved in the neighborhood. He knew everything that was going on. He was just like, if snow removal would come, he'd go out and tell the guys what they should be doing and how they weren't being efficient enough. Like he's just like that, but he would do it in a nice way. He was a police officer, by the way, for 30 years.
Okay.
So he's like naturally comes out and he's just kind of like, you should do this, you should do that, whatever. And so we move all this heavy stuff. And we come back and I see my cousin and I'm like, all right, did you start unloading all the crap? Did you start just getting rid of it? She's like, oh no. She's like, he became like Usain Bolt and bolted up 2 flights of steps and like halted everything. He's like, none of that goes anywhere. I'll be back over the next several weeks to look through it. Maybe we'll throw a couple things out.
Oh my
He
God.
just expects her to keep it there. It's just
That's
like, it's not
hysterical.
going anywhere. We're like, oh my God. Then the other thing is he's partially the guy responsible in the pandemic for hoarding toilet paper. This guy has so much toilet paper that when he moved out, the whole family could have taken 2 gigantic packs, like Costco sized packs, and he still would have had like 5 for himself. So when we get to the new apartment, he's got it's a lot of space. He's got this gigantic pantry closet, and then like more for cans and like shelves, but then he's got this other one. I walk into it thinking I'm going to throw like 1 toilet paper in there. He's got 7 in there already. I'm like, where did these even come from? He's like, oh, I bought some. I'm like, you're one person. What are you doing with 420 rolls of toilet paper? Oh, you never know. I'm like, bro. I'm like, now I know if second pandemic wave comes, I go right to his house. I don't go to ShopRite. I don't go to the grocery store.
Oh my God.
I go right to Tony's house.
Oh
Tony's got the toilet paper. Tony's toilet paper. It could be a business.
So does he have like some kind of bowel problems that he goes number 2 constantly, and that's why he needs 8,000 rolls of toilet paper?
I've never even seen the guy go to the bathroom in my whole life. I don't think he even goes to the bathroom. I think he collects toilet paper, different brands from different eras. It's a new thing. He's got the Charmin, he's got the Scotts, he's got I don't know.
It's interesting because people collect everything. So why not collect different types? You know what? Next time you travel, whatever hotel you're at, you can have to make sure to bring him back a roll of toilet paper. You never know. Yeah, because like you go away and like your kids expect you to bring something back for them or whatever. Just bring your grandfather back a roll of toilet paper.
He'd be set. He'd keep it. I guarantee you, he would think nothing. I'd be like, oh, thanks.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks. I didn't have that kind.
Exactly. Yeah, that's just
So
nice.
that's actually pretty funny. That's pretty funny. So let's jump into it, since this is an all-star episode. You know, I know that you and I had talked about, we talked, you know, we did a little planning, and I was supposed to send you my list of what we're talking about, and my apologies, I didn't. And I'm not even sure why I
Okay.
didn't, but I apologize for that. So a lot of the stuff we talk about, as usual, you have no clue what we're gonna get into.
Fire off
But
the head.
initially,
Let's go.
I think that we were both kind of on the same page about the All-Star game, and talking about it, and you know what, we'll spend like 10, 15 minutes on it. And the more that I looked into the All-Star game, the more interesting information that I found. And I think the All-Star game is really, really exciting. But I think the way that I'd like to talk about it is, let's just talk about the All-Star game in itself. All right. The first All-Star game was in 1933. And I think, you know, even when you and I were growing up, the All-Star game was an exciting thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now I feel like the All-Star game has really lost its luster, it's lost its importance, and it's become I want to say it's become a joke. I mean, I think the NBA All-Star game is a joke. I think the NHL
Mm-hmm.
All-Star game is a joke. I think NFL All-Pro game is
The Pro Bowl's the
obviously,
word.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
obviously a joke. So I put the MLB All-Star game in that same in that same light, you know, and I wanted to get your opinion on that. I mean, you know, and I think that you and I feel the same way, and I'll bet you most people do feel the same way. But I'm kind of curious from your perspective. Why do you think that it's really lost its importance and its significance?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think we all grew up loving the All-Star game, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
it was a very exciting day. I never looked at that little break because I'm a baseball fan, and what like a huge baseball fan, and what I always loved about baseball the most is it's with you every day. Like
hmm
you get it every day.
hmm
And so part of me would always be like disappointed when the All-Star break would come because it's like 4 days in a row where you're not seeing any baseball.
that's
But
right.
I always would be focused on the All-Star game because you had that excitement. That Monday into the Tuesday of the All-Star game was always exciting. I
Yep.
remember like Sunday night or Monday, the lineup would be set. You'd see your lineup. And then the next day, the All-Star game. It was always a fun 2-day period. I think really just what happened was two things. One, really the evolution of it not mattering as much started with just free agency, which sounds funny, but players didn't bounce around. You played on one team your whole career. And if you played in the American League, NL fans didn't see you much. If you played in the NL, AL fans didn't see you much. And there was no interleague play. So really, you only saw each other once a year in the All-Star game. And the
Right.
two best teams, which oftentimes were the same teams every year, would meet in the World Series, which is the World Series anyway. So it's the height of excitement and the height of anticipation. So really, it was one day a year where you got to see a superstar in one league play a superstar in the other league, and pitchers face off against the best hitters, and they don't face them ever again.
That's
And
right.
so there was actually a rivalry, like a
Yeah.
real inherent rivalry. Like if you were an AL member, you were like all about each other. You had each other's backs. NL had each other's backs. So free agency comes, and now players are flipping teams, flipping leagues. It's not as special. And then 24 years ago, interleague play was born.
hmm
And which is crazy to say because it actually spans a long chunk of my baseball viewing career, or life, I should say. But interleague play was super exciting when it first came out to me. Interleague play came out, I was 15 years old. Okay. So I gave away my age. Do the math. 15 years old. I was pumped for interleague play because as a Met fan, you knew the Mets were going to play the Yankees. That was something that had never happened in my lifetime.
Right.
All the geographic rivalries were, I think, probably heightened. There was probably some lack of care about it if you were in certain cities where there wasn't a natural geographic rivalry per se. But like in any city with multiple teams, this was like the height of excitement.
Yeah.
So at the time, it was phenomenal. Like everything else, it has an unintended consequence. And that unintended consequence 24 years later, and probably more than 10 years, at least 10 years ago, if not longer,
hmm
is now there's literally nothing special about the All-Star game. You
Yeah.
see these teams face each other all the time. You see these players mix up and go on to different teams. They
Yep.
tried to come up with that They tried to come up with like that wrinkle where home field mattered. Remember, that was the big thing. MLB knew MLB knew it was no longer exciting. The ratings were way down.
Yep.
They tried something. I don't hold it against them for trying something. They were trying to throw something against the wall, and they did the home field advantage, and they didn't notice really any difference in viewership. And so, and I gotta say, and I'd be interested to hear, because you do go back maybe 8-10 All-Star games before me. Something I never liked, and I saw the evolution of this, and this had nothing to do with either thing I named, which was free agency and interleague play. All-Stars at least back early, when it started and into probably the 70s, they played almost the whole game. Like, these guys played like the whole game. Yeah. Now, pitchers didn't pitch the whole game, obviously, but the starting position players that you actually wanted to see played at least 6-7 innings. Some of them played the whole game when it first came out, right?
That's true.
You watch the All-Star game today, I vote in Shohei Ohtani, I vote in Mike Trout, I vote in whoever your favorite guy is. He's playing 3 innings. Yeah. He's playing 4 innings. Maybe he's playing 5 innings and it's like a one-off, but when the game matters late in the game, all the best players are out.
That's true.
Like, I'm watching the Pittsburgh Pirates backup, the Pittsburgh Pirates one representative, their second baseman's up with, first and third in the 9th inning. And I'm like, this guy, he's not even really an all-star. Why am I watching him in a big spot? So I don't think that's helped the all-star game either. But what do you say about that part in particular?
It's interesting because as I go back and I research and I love the history of the all-star game, there are so many more guys on the team now than before. Like, I was looking just at the pitchers. There must be 12, 14 pitchers on each team. I mean, these guys are not all going to play. Not only that, it used to be a huge honor to play in the All-Star game. Now it's like, hey, we're 2 of the Houston Astros stars. We got elected to the All-Star game. Well, we're just going to skip it. DeGrom, you know what? It's just, it's not important that I pitch there. I just want to skip the game. So it's not, it's not the honor that it used to be. And it's interesting because the first All-Star game was 1933. And I can honestly say I don't remember that one. But it was interesting because on the NL side, they had 3 pitchers. That's it. Just 3 pitchers. And so those guys played. But when when I look at the All-Star game today, like here's some of our starters, like Devers, Semien, Bogarts, Teoscar Hernandez, Adam Frazier, Nick Castellanos, Jesse Winkler. Okay. Now listen to the 1933, some of the guys that played in this game. Okay. I'm just going to list the Hall of Famers, just the Hall of Famers. Bill Terry, Frankie Frisch, Chick Hafey, Chuck Klein, Carl Hubble, Gabby Hartnett, Pie Traynor, Paul Wainer, Rick Farrell, Lou Gehrig, Charlie Gehringer, Joe Cronin, Al Simmons, Babe Ruth, Lefty Gomez, Lefty Grove, Bill Dickey, Jimmy Fox, Tony Lazzari, Earl Averill. The manager and coaches were McGraw, McKechnie, and Carey, all 3 Hall of Famers. And on the AL side, you had Connie Mack and Eddie Collins. Not only that, you had Bill Clem and Bill McGowan as umpires. Those guys are all in the Hall of Fame. All of those guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. Either now there could be a number of reasons for it. I think part of it is that baseball, with their expansion, it's just been watered down. You just don't have as many great players anymore. And because you have to have one guy from every team, which I like and I don't like. I like it because that's how Harold Baines got in the Hall of Fame, because he was on just crappy teams year after year. He was the only guy that was even remotely good. He's not a Hall of Famer, but that got him into the Hall of Fame. So I have a real problem with that. But of course, the AL won the first one 4-2, in part due to the first home run ever hit in an All-Star game by, you might have guessed it, Babe Ruth.
The Baby Ruth. Yeah.
So I thought that was really interesting. But a couple of things that I wanted to talk about, going back in history. the greatest thing, the greatest moment that I've ever, I mean, there's been a lot of great moments in the All-Star game, but 1934 for me is the greatest moment. You had Hall of Famer Carl Hubble on the mound. He's pitching, and up comes Babe Ruth, and he strikes him out. Then up comes Lou Gehrig, and he strikes him out. Then up comes Jimmy Fox, and he strikes him out. Then up comes Al Simmons, and he strikes him out. And then up comes Joe Cronin, and he strikes him out. I mean, these are 5 like serious Hall of Famers. And granted, the first 3 everybody has heard of, Ruth, Gehrig, Fox, but Simmons and Cronin were both incredible players too. He struck out 5 Hall of Famers in a row. And I think the thing that was amazing about that is that it was during a time where guys didn't quite strike out as frequently. Like nowadays, you strike out 5 guys in a row. Okay, great. I mean, how many times have you done that in your career?
Happens all the time.
All the time. So I thought that was really interesting. And just the lineups, just the combination of people playing together and also playing against each other. And I think that is extended into the World Series too, with these guys playing against each other all the time. It just, it's like, who was even in the World Series last year?
In the pandemic year, we had the Rays and the Dodgers.
And the Dodgers, right? I mean, and the great thing about that would have been if they didn't play each other during the year. But you play each other during the year.
Yeah, well, that was a weird. Well, that last year
I'm
was
just,
weird.
I'm just saying in general. You're right. Okay, that's probably a bad example, but I'm just saying in general. I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
But and I went back and I tried doing some research, and I thought this was really interesting. Of all of the All-Star games, remember the first one was in 1933. So we're talking about, what is this, the 80? I don't even know, because there was a few years that we missed. But of all the All-Star games, the All-Star game that had the most Hall of Famers in it was 1971. You would have thought maybe it would have been 40s, 50s, something like that. But 1971. I just want you to just listen to the NL side, okay? Just the NL side, okay? Bench, McCovey, Torrey, Aaron, Mays, Stargell, Carlton, Jenkins, Marichal, Seaver, Santo, Brock, Clemente, Rose. 14 Hall of Famers were just on the NL side. Then you got Sparky Anderson as your coach, as your manager, and you got Walt Alston as your coach. So on that side, there were 16. All right. Then you got the AL, Carew, Brooks Robinson, Aparicio, Frank Robinson, Yaz, Palmer, Killebrew, Reggie, Kaline. That's 9. Plus you've got Earl Weaver. The manager, the umpire was Doug Harvey, who's also a Hall of Famer. The guy that threw out the first pitch, Charlie Gehringer, who's a Hall of Famer. The 2 TV guys, Kurt Gowdy and Tony Kubek, are Hall of Famers. The radio guy was Sandy Koufax. So there were 31 Hall of Famers involved in that game in some capacity.
Yeah. Well, and 71 was still pre-free agency, pre-interleague play. So that was probably, that might have been the peak of TV ratings, actually, that era. I think that was kind of like the peak of All-Star TV ratings, the 70s.
Oh yeah, and I wouldn't doubt it. But that's when you saw guys matched up that you never ever saw. Like for example, Brooks Robinson played for 25 years, all in the AL. Then you got like Juan Marichal, who only played in the NL. I mean, this is the only time that these 2 guys would have faced each other.
Well, and just to kind of pivot off the All-Star history and talk about how even something that's wildly popular, I think MLB kind of steps in it a little bit with, is I think the home run derby and the event that precedes the All-Star game has been a very big success for Major League Baseball. I actually think more people look forward to the home run derby than they do the All-Star game. I think it's probably a no-brainer in the last 10, 15 years because that generates more excitement. There's more highlights that are born out of that day than the All-Star game the following day. But for instance, how they step in it even this year. If you look, they announced the 8 participants in the home run derby, and Shohei, who is number 1 draw, is in it. So that's great. And Alonso, who's the defending champ from 2 years ago, because there wasn't a home run derby last year, is in it. But if you look at the rest of the names, they're not even remotely attracting the most glamorous and big name home run hitters. Salvatore Perez is a catcher on the Royals. Like, listen, you know, like they have Joey Gallo. I mean, these are not household names. They have Trevor Story, the local kid, because they're playing in Coors Field.
Yeah.
Juan Soto was hurt a lot. He's playing. He's a big name. But, like, those are not Trey Mancini. I love the Orioles. Shout out to Baltimore. Trey Mancini don't belong being in the home run derby. Like, where's the big name? Like, they're stars, and they can't attract Tatis into the home run derby. Vlad Guerrero Jr. I know Trout's hurt, so we'll forget him for a second. They can't get they can't get Stanton or Judge, who just would hit colossal shots that fans would want to see. They're
Even
just
Acuna.
missing, right? Acuna, like, where's somebody on the Dodgers, whoever you want to pick, but like somebody on the Red Sox, they've had a banner year. You know, it's just like, so it's an incredible event. But when you look at those 8 names, it's Ohtani and Alonso. And other than that, everybody's kind of like, you know, so even their big day, their exciting day with the home run derby, figure something out, Major League Baseball. You got to be able to attract more than 2 of the biggest named home run guys. Like, that should be a star-studded, glamorous night. Trey Mancini and Trevor Story and you know, and Salvatore Perez just aren't going to get it done. And Matt Olson, like, come on, like, that's not the right group.
Well, you know what I thought was interesting. I you know, they seed them, so they're all seeded 1 to 8, and I'm trying to figure out how they even come up with these seedings. Like,
I think the seeding is it's not a real seeding. I think it's by most home runs to least home runs.
Okay, but so Salvatore Perez is 4, and he's hitting against the number 5, which is Pete Alonso, the defending champion.
Well, based on this year's home run totals, which is changed, by the way, because Alonso's hit like 3 since then, so they like picked them. He probably wouldn't be that way anymore. That's something you could actually do right before the game. Instead, they don't even do that right. There's 5 more games till the All-Star break, and they set it based on the home run total from 5 days ago. And it's like, why? Does it really matter? Do they have to lock into their matchup 5 days in advance? Like, nobody cares. It's like it's not a real matchup. Like,
no, but I mean, listen. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. I mean, any of these guys could potentially win. You know, you just get hot, and anybody could win. But to be honest with you, I would have liked to have seen Pete Alonso, let's say, number 2, even though he hasn't hit as many home runs. You know, if he gets past the first round, then he's against the winner of Ohtani and Soto. You know,
right? Basically, that's why baseball doesn't even get that right.
I don't want to see
Why
that.
would you want the 2 big guys in the semifinals?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
They don't get anything right.
No. And I mean, listen, these guys, some of these guys can hit home runs. I mean, Perez is not a home run hitter. You know, Gallo, that's all he does. He either strikes out or hits a home run, and he's been hot this year. So I mean, I can't argue with that. I'm excited about Mancini because you got to remember he was out all last season. Battling cancer.
He's your guy. You're not the right person.
But he was battling cancer last year.
No, it's a great story. Give him comeback player of the year.
But he's not.
Give him comeback player of the year and tell him to stay home and rest for the weekend.
Right.
Like, nobody wants to see him hit home run.
No, he's a guy that could. I think 2 years ago, I think he hit 35 home runs. So the guy can hit the ball. But like you said, I mean, there's so many other stars that should be in there.
Well,
and what?
No, I can say, like, literally, imagine this home run derby, all you'd be hearing about if it had Acuna, Vlad Guerrero, Tatis, Alonso, Ohtani. Imagine that home run derby. You'd be like glued to it, and MLB would actually have their banner night. And maybe it wouldn't be the All-Star game, but let's face it, that's not changing anymore. You cannibalize it because of what we all talked about. So make the home run derby that elite special night. And if you think back, I'm not a big fan of the NBA All-Star game either. But if you think back, the NBA with the slam dunk night, right, the day before, had a long run of incredible success with big names participating in it. Once they stopped attracting the big names,
that's right,
that became a dead event. When Vince Carter was dunking and you had all this excitement and Dr. J and Jordan and all those folks, it was a big night. And then somewhere along the lines, guys stopped wanting to do it. But Major League Baseball, it's the home run derby. I think a lot of these guys would do it. Put a little incentive on getting them to show up, but I would think you could get them if you pushed a little. market them more. Like, I think you could get it.
I don't know. Well, again, the All-Star game has become a joke. It's not a big honor anymore. It's you know what?
No, yeah.
I'd rather take this time to rest. I'd rather take this time to spend a few days with my family. You know, I don't want to miss my turn in the rotation, you know, and my body just needs a break. I don't want to play in this game. I mean, it's, you know what, it's, to me, it's a bunch of crap. But the one thing that I did want to talk about, I think the biggest story about the All-Star game is Ohtani. And I mean, this guy has just been, he's just been on fire. I mean, I can't remember the last time we saw a guy that was just hitting home runs out, and not even just hitting home runs. I mean, this guy is just, he's literally destroying the ball. The ball's coming off his bat so fast, and the ball is traveling so far. I think his home run last night went almost 500 feet. I mean, this guy is just, and I'm glad that he's kind of coming into his own. I thought it was interesting that the other day, he hit his 32nd home run, which passed Matsui for the most home runs by a Japanese player in the major leagues ever, and that was in half a season. So I thought that was interesting. But I'm going to tell you something, man. As great as I think that he is, I have one real big problem, one really, really big problem, and it really bothers me, and that is, they made such a big deal about him being the first guy ever to be elected as a pitcher and a hitter, which I think is wonderful, and I think it's a PR stunt. I think that's what it is, just to say that they have that, because a guy that's 4-1 with a 3.5 ERA, he's pitched 67 innings, 87 strikeouts. He's got a WHIP of 1.2. Those are not great numbers. So to me, this is a guy who is the most deserving as far as a hitter, but this guy should not have been elected as a pitcher. Like he's not in. He's in as a pitcher. What about a guy like Tyler Glasnow with his 2.66 ERA, or his batters are hitting 176 against him? What about a guy like that? I think that it's complete BS that he made the team in both regards, and I think it is 100% just a PR move.
I think you're way too angry about it, and I think that, you leave Shohei Ohtani alone. He on the merits deserve to be a pitcher in the game too? No, now it's funny because those numbers are actually pretty good, but we're in such a bad hitting era that this year there's eye-popping, crazy stats across the board with pitching, led by DeGrom. But there's a lot of guys with just really incredible numbers. So technically, does he deserve to be a pitcher on the team? No. Is he the most? He's the biggest phenomenon since Babe Ruth, though, in terms of doing it both ways at a high level. I'm not saying he's going to hold up and do this for a decade, or he's going to convert out of pitching into just being a hitter. Let's face it, at this point, if it wasn't for the fact that he's out in LA, and I think there's a glamorous celebrity angle to this,
absolutely,
he should probably be just a full-time hitter, because he's so gifted at hitting that he probably should, not be a starting pitcher for them. But it is such a cool story. And it's such a phenomenal thing. And he's not just a good hitter. He's clobbering the ball. Oh, that's why I'm saying I'm liking it to Babe Ruth, just in terms of he's a big, tall lefty who hits so many bombs, and then he throws 98 plus. And he's a good pitcher. If he wasn't a hitter, you'd say he's a solid pitcher. He's a nice arm to have. So great story though. And
it is. But I do have a problem with it. I'm just.
Yeah, well, you're getting old and angry. It's fine.
I'm a purist in the sense that I don't like the fact that it is a popularity contest. I've always had a problem with that. Like Mike Trout, who has 117 at bats, he's not going to play again until possibly August. Why was he the leading vote getter among AL outfielders?
But it's the fans. That get it's the one thing the fans get to do. So what are you going to do? Well, then be mad at yourself and all your fans, because
you're the one that
voted for him.
It was, and supposedly it was your vote that put him over the edge, man. So I guess I should be pissed at you. I don't know. But you know what? Conversely, I think you've got a couple guys on there that don't deserve to be there. Like like Mookie Betts, I think they told him he was an all-star, and his reaction was, really? I mean, the guy's not. I mean, he's batting 247. This is not a
Yeah.
Mookie Betts
Well,
type season.
yeah. I think guys get embarrassed when they make it on fan vote or what have you when
But
they
that,
really know they don't
but
belong. I
I
think it
know,
is embarrassing for them.
but that wasn't a fan vote. That was
Oh no.
he was voted as a reserve. Okay, batting 247, and then explain something else to me. Okay, Chapman on the Yankees. I don't know if you know what kind of season he's having.
Oh, he totally imploded. Yeah. Well, I know the Mets just caught him the other day and beat him.
He's got a 4.5 ERA. In 29 innings, he has 22 walks. Okay.
Yeah. Well, he got
Okay.
voted. I mean, he got put on those rosters.
He's on the All-Star team.
Usually when you see one or two players that make an all-star team and their stats don't warrant it, it usually means they were the one selection from the team because every team gets a player.
Yeah.
But that's not the case in either of those situations. The Dodgers have all-stars, the Yankees have all-stars. I have no idea why Chapman is on the team. I have no idea where Mookie Betts is on the team. Neither one of them belong on the team. I don't get it. By the way, the Mets, I know you were talking about DeGrom. DeGrom made the team. Obviously, he would have been the starting pitcher. He says he's sitting out. He had some really good reasons though. Coors Field is a nightmare on pitchers, not like success-wise.
Yeah.
He said like from a physical standpoint, he's battled some injuries. He didn't want to go out there to pitch one inning. So he bowed out. It's not good for baseball. It's not a good look, but like I get why he did it with the injuries he was dealing with, the little things. But the Mets didn't have any other all-stars on a pitching staff that leads baseball. Diaz has been great closing. He didn't make the All-Star team. Stroman has had a great year. Walker's had a great year. None of them made the All-Star team. And then this morning I read Walker replaced DeGrom. And I'm not sure if MLB did it because the Mets weren't going to have a representative, but they all got bypassed. And the Yankees got Aroldis Chapman in, which is weird. It's weird sometimes how they do things.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that. But let's stick to a couple more baseball things before we wrap it up. Kyle Schwarber, have you ever seen a guy get hot like that guy did? In 10 games last month, he had 12 home runs. I mean, the guy, it was like, and he made the All-Star team, and good for him. Good for him. His average.
And he got hurt.
And he got hurt. Right. So he's out. His average went from 236 to 280. But I mean, I thought that was just an unbelievable story, and it just goes to show you how literally anybody can just get super hot at any time. I mean, Kyle Schwarber of all people.
And Kyle Schwarber, and there's some players you see every year like this, but there's guys that you think are going to be like Kyle Schwarber, 3 or 4 years ago, looked like the next big thing coming out of Chicago. Maybe even longer. I think Kyle Schwarber was a rookie in 2015. So he's in baseball now 6-7 years. He looked like the next big thing coming out. He was a little pudgy. He didn't really have a position for him, but he could swat the ball. And then he just kind of went into the abyss for like several years, signed like a cheap 1-year deal with the Nationals. And it's like he's gotten it all back. But you see this in baseball. Guys pop up and have big years. And I don't think it's steroids. I'm not trying to intimate anything. But like you see it in baseball. And then like he'll get a big contract off this year. And you'll be like, there's going to be buyer's remorse there. This dude's been in baseball for 7 years. He hit his big year in his walk year. But I'd be very leery about guys like that because he's not been good for a while and then he pops up. And then you see guys that are pretty good that in their walk year have terrible years.
Yeah.
And they can't handle the pressure of like hitting for their free agency year. So you see it go both ways.
Yeah, it's definitely tough. But I thought I thought that was interesting. And you know, it's funny because July 1st is just commonly known, and it's becoming more and more popular, as Bobby Bonilla Day, which is the day he gets his $1.2 million check every year, starting 2011 and ending 2035. And the thing that I thought was great about that, and I just think it's so ridiculous and it's such a joke. But the owner of the Mets has kind of embraced it, and I thought that was pretty cool, you know. And I think I don't know if it was him or somebody else that was saying what they should do is they should make a whole day out of it. They should hand Bonilla like one of those oversized Happy Gilmore checks, and then get into like a golf cart and drive around the stadium, and he can wave at like all the fans and everything. I thought that was clever, and it's kind of a way to kind of make fun of, hey, this was the most ridiculous thing ever that happened. Let's have some fun about it. And Steve Cohen, I mean, Steve Cohen has to write a $1.2 million check. I mean, he makes more than that per day anyway, so who the heck cares?
Yeah, well, he did say something like what you just said, and he said they're going to do an honorary Bobby Bonilla Day every year after this year because of COVID. This year they didn't do it, but like every year after this year they're going to do it.
Yeah.
And he said like they're gonna do something where fans get to sit with Bonilla that day in the stands, and they're going to talk about like financial like wherewithal and like making good financial choices and all this other stuff, and like it's
Awesome.
funny because listen, that's pretty awesome. Embrace it. Cohen had nothing to do with it, so you might as well embrace it.
Yeah.
Instead of the Wilpons used to run from it and hide that day because they were little chicken crap and they didn't know how to handle their screw up. But the new owner comes in and is like, sure, that Bobby Bo Day.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
And one more baseball thing that I want to talk about, and I don't want to get into it too much because you can really talk about it a lot. But what's his name? Trevor Bauer in the Dodgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he has been accused of doing some I don't know, some bad things to a woman. Let's just say that. And
Yep.
so MLB suspended him, and they've now extended the suspension while they're going into a review. And I'm not going to come to his defense, okay, because what he's being accused of, if in fact it's true, and you're innocent until proven guilty, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But you know, explain to me how he was suspended from baseball during the investigation, but Deshaun Watson, who's been accused by 742 women of exposing himself, how he is not. I'm trying to put my head around this, and there's a lot of places I don't want to go with this. Is there any real reason you think that maybe one was suspended and the other one wasn't, even though Deshaun Watson has been, his accusers are so many more, and there's so much more involved than Trevor Bauer's? I know it's kind of a heavy topic, but I just wanted to
No,
I wanted to get your take on that, because besides some of the whatever that you would think about this, I mean, is there any logic behind this?
yeah, I actually do. I think it actually is. I think it actually makes sense because um, Bauer's in the midst of his season. The NFL got lucky with Watson. It's in the off season when everything broke. So the NFL has so much time to like build, meet with the women, understand the story. There's nothing to suspend him from right now. Like their pay calendar, I don't even think began until recently, the way they do things. And I don't think he's been at OTAs or anything like that, meaning Watson. But the MLB, and I like this, and they didn't always do this, all the sports, but like this isn't about a criminality right now. They're a private company.
Yeah.
They have every right to say, hey, you're on leave while we investigate the situation outside of whatever is found criminally, civilly. It doesn't matter. Like,
Yeah.
we're not having your face represent one of our 30 Major League Baseball teams right now
Yeah.
and pitch every fifth day while this thing could drag on for months in the middle of the season. I think they're paying him. He's not without pay. So they're not doing anything wrong. They're saying you are not allowed to pitch right now while we
Yeah.
investigate this. You get paid. And I actually think there's nothing wrong with it. And I think the NFL would have had to act swiftly if it was in the middle of the NFL season too. I think both do not have great track records with handling this stuff.
Yeah,
But I
that's
think
true.
nowadays you're going to see them act more quickly. And I think Deshaun Watson, when it's all said and done, is not playing this season.
Yeah.
I strongly think at least a half a season, if not the whole season. And Trevor Bauer, to me, is never playing again for the Dodgers this year. I don't think so. I don't know if it's true. Like, of course, we say you're innocent until proven guilty, of course. I have a strong feeling Bauer's done with the Dodgers this year. I don't think he pitches anymore. So, but I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think they should suspend him with pay.
Yeah.
While they investigate. The woman has like very serious allegations with pictures and text to go with it. I think it's super legitimate beef, a super legitimate case. So they have to get it all. And the last I heard, and I haven't heard anything about it for like a week, it sounded like they were concerned there was more women, that they didn't think this was the only one. So,
well, I don't.
Trevor could
know.
be in some deep waters. There's only two people happy with this right now. The person that wants him to get in trouble, obviously, rightfully so if he did it.
Yep.
And the New York Mets for finishing second in that free agency battle.
Yeah.
They're the only two people, because he turned down the Mets' identical offer for the Dodgers. So I'm
Yeah.
sure Steve Cohen somewhere is breathing a sigh of relief as he gets ready for Bobby Bonilla.
Yeah. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. A couple quick things to finish up with. Suns and Bucks. Suns are up 2-0. What's your prediction?
Bucks take them 7, lose.
Oh,
I'm sticking with the Bucks, bringing it back to Milwaukee, winning the next 2 games. I think there's something, you know this more than most people. The role players, the reserve players tend to be better at home. I think 2 things, and this is not based off of loving the Bucks. I feel like the Phoenix Suns, who haven't won anything in the history of the Phoenix Suns, can't win an NBA title this easily. There has to be something that pops up that makes this a tough series, or else they're going to have been the first franchise that never won one in 60 years to win one easily. I don't think that's going to happen. I feel like they have to inherently have a hiccup. I think they lose the next 2 in Milwaukee. They then win again. They lose game 6, and then they win game 7 at home. But I think it goes 7. I think the NBA is going to get a good finals out of this. But I could look like an idiot in another week. So we'll see. What about you? What do you got? You're going to tell me I like the Suns in 4.
No. I mean, I think that the Bucks can come back and win, but I think the Suns are. Honestly, I just think they're on such a roll. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be the Suns. I think it's going to be Suns in 5. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I think that the Bucks are going to win, but the Suns are just they're on a mission this year. So we'll see. We'll see. And then Joey Chestnut ate 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. He broke his own record. So my question for you is this: how many hot dogs do you think you could eat in 10 minutes if you absolutely had to?
I like this question, and I've given it some thought, and I didn't know this question was coming. But based on the fact that the hot dog eating contest was a week ago, I have thought about this.
Yeah, we all do.
I think this may sound surprising to you. I think I could do 20
in 10 minutes. You think so? That would be one every 30 seconds.
I think I could.
That's a lot. I mean,
I think I could do it. I don't want to do this, and I'm not trying to set up for I'm not trying to set up for a full Mike can still put 20 hot dogs down, so I'll be sick for 5 days afterwards, gain 11 pounds. I don't even want to prove I could do it, but I think the fat man in me can do it. I think I could do it. How many could you eat? First of all, and I will say, disclaimer, I do like hot dogs.
Dude, I love hot dogs.
I don't eat them all year. But obviously in the summer, I definitely eat way too many of them because the grill, sometimes it's just whatever.
Yeah.
I do think I could eat 20. And what do you think you could eat?
When you think about it, let's put this into perspective here really quickly. And 76 hot dogs, I did the math. That's a hot dog with a bun every a little bit less than 8 seconds.
Yeah, that's just
okay. A little bit less than 8 seconds. Okay. So I'm thinking about it. So with no experience as a competitive eater and the fact that I enjoy hot dogs also, I'm going to want to chew my hot dogs. I'm going to want to taste my hot dogs. So in 10 minutes.
Oh, true.
In 10 minutes, if knowing that I was going to get completely sick to my stomach, I think that I could probably have 10, maybe 12 if I pushed it. And then I would just be sick as a dog. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, 20 hot dogs, listen, 76 is absurd, but I mean, think about it. Like the last time you ate hot dogs, like how many hot dogs do you eat in a setting? I mean, do you ever eat more than 2 hot dogs?
No, that's pretty much what I eat.
Okay, so
2.
imagine taking that up to 20
but I do
in 10
think
minutes.
after I eat the 2 hot dogs in 1 minute, it feels like I do go, I'm not full. Why did I do that? I do
yes.
that.
You could listen. Your first hot dog.
It's 3 bites, and you're it's gone. You know what I mean?
Listen, your first hot dog is so friggin' delicious, and you want to savor it, but you eat it so quickly because it's good, right? And then you're like, yeah, wow, I could do this. You can't. Let's be honest.
You've offered up a very valid argument in terms of the taste of it, where you want to taste it. And as non-competitive eaters, I probably would start tasting it and not just getting it down because of the contest part. But I would throw a caveat in.
Yeah.
If I put a table full of hundreds out there
Yeah.
and I said you get $200 per hot dog you eat, do you think that changes how many you could put down?
I think that you would struggle to put down as many as I mean, listen, I don't know. You'd be, I mean, as soon as I eat those hot dogs, I mean, I'd be in the corner throwing up. There's no doubt. And I probably wouldn't want to eat hot dogs for the next 5 years. But yeah, maybe that's something that we can look into. Maybe we'll, maybe if we ever get together, maybe we'll have ourselves a hot
Road
dog eating
show.
contest.
Phil and Darrin taking it, Phil and the mic on the road show, hot dog eating contest. That's
God.
fun. We
Yeah,
might want to do something more mild, like chicken wing eating contest, which I think I could put down some serious amounts of chicken wings in 10 minutes.
I don't know. I don't know. It's
We
a
might.
good
This
question.
might be brewing. We might be brewing onto something here. This might have to be something that goes viral. All right, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
think about it.
The last thing that I want to talk about, there's so many more things that I think that we need to talk about that we'll talk about next time. But there's a podcast. I can't remember what it's called. The Knuckleheads. That's what it's called. I think it's Quentin Richardson and Darius Miles. They have a podcast, and honestly, I can barely even understand. Barely can understand them on their podcast. It's weird, but they had Jamal Mashburn on, and they were
The
asking
mash.
him the mash. They were asking him about some of his past experiences, and he was saying that he was brought in for the 1992 USA basketball. I think that was the dream team, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
92.
Yeah.
And you know, they brought in a bunch of the college all-stars to practice
Leitner,
against these guys. Yeah. Well, Leitner made the team, but
Leitner made the team.
yeah, he was the only guy that made the team. But like Jamal Mashburn, and they were saying, hey, do you have any interesting stories about that? And he was saying, yeah, you know what? There was another guy, Rodney Rogers, who I'm sure you remember. I think he was a Wake Forest guy. He was a big like 6'8",
Lefty.
250.
Wasn't he
Yeah,
a lefty?
I think he
Yep.
was. I think he was. He had a decent
Yeah.
career. He was a beast. But after the first scrimmage, Rodney Rogers went up to Larry Bird, and you got to remember, this is when Larry Bird was like on his last legs. I mean, this guy,
Yeah.
you know, he would come off the court and he would lay down because he couldn't sit because his back was so bad, right? So he said to him, and this is a quote, "Hey Larry, you ain't hit a jumper since '82, right?" So he's just making fun of him, like, "Oh, you're getting old." So the next scrimmage, Larry Bird, before he took a shot, he had the ball. He told Rodney Rogers what he was going to do. All right. So he goes, one dribble, pull up, going left off glass. That's what he told him. And then he went and did it. And then he said, one dribble, going right, spin, shot, bucket. And he hit it. Right. And this went on for like 8 or 9 times in a row. They just kept feeding him the ball down the court, and he just kept scoring every time. And every time he would tell Rodney Rogers what he was going to do ahead of time. So Rogers knew exactly what was going on, right? And what did he say? He said something like, what did he say back? Like, you know, like a young fella looks like I don't even know what he said, but he said something back to him. Then he walked off the court and laid down. It was like, and I think people don't realize like how great Larry Bird was. I mean, you think about this guy, he was a shooter, he was slow, he wore those short shorts, he had that funny mustache. But you know, I thought that was just an unbelievable story, that even at the end of his career, he's just telling him what he's going to do, and then he just does it. I mean, that's just unbelievable.
And you could tick off all of Larry Bird's accomplishments, and there's many accomplishments. The single greatest accomplishment is that most of the sports viewing world knows that French Lick, Indiana exists. That's what Larry Bird really did.
That's true.
He put old French Lick on the map.
That's true. So
not
good
easy
stuff.
to do that.
Couple things that I wanted to just mention to get people excited for next time. I think we need to talk about Trevor Lawrence expectations. You know, what do we think is going to happen year one? Because I mean, obviously, #1 pick overall, high expectations on his shoulder. Another thing that we need to talk about.
And I will be setting an over/under on how many years Urban Meyer lasts in Jacksonville.
I'll look forward to that. Another interesting thing that I think that you and I will really get a lot of good conversation about is the NCAA rule change, where it's where now, you know, athletes can get paid, and that's a huge thing. There's lot of stuff going on there. That's really exciting. Another thing was the sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson suspended from the Olympics because she tested positive for marijuana. I think that's an interesting. That's a really interesting topic. Larry Brown joined Penny Hardaway at Memphis as an assistant coach at age 80. And I think we can get some talking about that. And then I'm going to leave it with a stat. And then we'll head out. Jeff Bezos, we all know he's the richest man in the world. He's worth like $200 billion, and he just stepped down as CEO of Amazon. I don't know what that means. He makes more money per second than the average American worker makes per week. Just let that sink in. Per second. That's unbelievable. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. That's all I got.
Before we go,
we go,
who do you got in the blockbuster matchup Sunday afternoon? Do you have Italy or England in Euro 2020? Our audience desperately wants to know.
I know Italy.
You got the Italians, or you got the Brits?
Well, let me just say, from my understanding, the Brits haven't made the finals of anything in a long time. I think the World Cup finals they were in years ago.
But they're at home. They're at home.
I think it's a great story. You're going to have people cheering left and right. And I think at the end of the day, with that home field advantage, with the crowd going crazy, I think that Italy comes in and beats them.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think it's going to be like a 2-1 game.
Well, that you can make that prediction for every soccer game.
Yeah, I know, right?
I think more sadness in the king and queen's life comes besides Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. I think this is another sad day.
Yeah, well, we'll see, but it's interesting. So, good episode as always. It's been fun. It's been fun, even though it's a Saturday morning and I got no sleep last night. But I hope everybody has a great week. I hope everybody enjoys the All-Star game for what it is, and that is enjoy the first 2 innings, and then you can turn it off. Maybe the home run derby is great. Hey, how fun would it be to see Salvador Perez win the home run hitting contest? Just putting it out there, but
not to my 8-year-old son, it wouldn't be.
No, not at all. But hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll look forward to talking to everybody soon. If you like what you're hearing, you enjoy us, which I know everybody does. I mean, I get thousands of emails a day. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell everybody that you know. Let's make Phil and Mike huge, and just get out there and breed our wisdom into people's ears, so that they can enjoy it and they can be a little more informed as they go out and enjoy their sporting events. Take care, everybody. Be good.
See you next time.